there, everyone. Thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about The Iron Raven by Julie Kagawa. I would just like to start by saying I have not read the Iron Fae series when I picked up this novel. So I was a little worried that I was going to be confused and kind of lost when I was reading it. I will say happily that that was not the case. You don't have to be familiar with the Iron Fae series in order to appreciate this book. I think what the author does very well is she does recapping very well. She doesn't bog down the story. She doesn't bog down the pace. She gives you just enough information so that you understand who these characters are. You understand where the characters came from. And you understand their dynamics. And I think that's what really works for this story as a whole. Overall, the story does follow Puck, also known as Robin Goodfellow. You may know him from pretty much any fairy tale. Midsummer's Night Dream. I personally remembered him instantly from Gargoyles, the animated series, which is kind of funny if you think about it. That's where I remembered him from. So Puck is a prankster. You know, he's always been a prankster. He likes causing mischief. But this Puck, he really doesn't want to hurt people. You know, he cares about people. I think that really showcases just how far he's come in this book, because you do get to see his origins. You do get to see where he started. And I think it's really interesting to see where he started and where he came from. Overall, again, I do think that this book was very well written. You know, I thought it was imaginative. I thought it was compelling from start to finish. And again, I wasn't lost when I was reading it. It's very well thought out. It's very well told. It does offer readers a fantastical tale. And another thing that struck me was there are new characters that were not in the Iron Fae series. And you only know that because of how they're introduced. You have Nyx, who is a moon elf. And I think she's amazing. Honestly, she reminded me of, the moon elf from Dragon Prince. That's who she made me think of, and I honestly loved that. I think that that's what's really cool about the story. And I have to say, you know, for me, I was reading it, I was like, is this author a fan of the Dragon Prince series? I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they were, because it was just so well done and well told. You know, I really do think that there's a lot of characterization to the story as a whole. And that's what I like. That's key for this story, because this story is driven, you know, it is driven by the plot, but it is also driven by these characters and their dynamics, because what the story is about, it's about Evenfall. So they come to face with this monster, and what this monster does is it just exudes hate and destruction. All it wants to do is destroy and destroy and destroy. And I think, like, wow, this monster just has so much hate, and what it does is it infects people with hate, and it does that with Puck. So Puck he's kind of coming face to face with who he was in the past. We know Robin Goodfellow, this person he didn't really like to begin with. And that's what I thought was really cool. You know, he really doesn't like who he was, and yet he can't fight the fact that he's returning to who he was. But he wants to. He wants to, and he doesn't at the same time. That is what's compelling about his character. That is what I like about his character, how human and relatable it is. He's reflecting on his past and how he didn't like who he was, and he's reflecting on what made him such a bad person or bad elf, and he doesn't want to go back to that. He has moved on, but unfortunately this monster is forcing him to relive that heartbreak, to relive that anger and that resentment and guilt as if it was a fresh wound. And that's the part that kind of kills me. I'm just like, this poor guy. He has to relive everything like it's just happening again. And you can relate to that as a reader, but the fact that at the end he remembers who he is, that he is Puck, it's a powerful moment, because he's like, no, I'm not going to let you destroy who I've become, who I've worked so hard to be. I'm just going to laugh in your face and do what I do best. Joke around and be your prank. And that's what I think is really cool about his characterization and how he has evolved as a character. I really do like that. I really did think that that was engaging and thoroughly entertaining for me as a reader. So it was a well done story, I will say. It wasn't boring at all. What I like is the fact that I wasn't lost when I was reading it. I like how the author does drop in those elements of her previous series, but without dragging down the pacing of the story. She does it and she weaves them in a way that creates tension and in a way that doesn't hinder the plot or hinder the pacing. That pacing keeps moving at a very steady, fast pace. It's just rising and rising and rising with the tension of the story. And these flashback scenes, these scenes of history between the characters, they don't deter from that. They don't distract the reader. They don't take the reader out of the story. And they definitely don't slow it down. And I think that shows a lot of talent on the writer's part, because sometimes when authors do that, it's a little distracting. Their transition scenes aren't always executed well, or they don't recap in a very concise way that ends up dragging it out and ruining what is otherwise a really good paced story. Again, that's not what happens here. Julie does an amazing job of giving readers who are unfamiliar with the series a look at her Iron Face series. For me, that just made me want to read the Iron Face series more. And what she does is she gives fans of the Iron Face series another look at what they enjoyed. So I'm going to go ahead and give this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. Didn't blow me away. I do think it was solidly written. I love the characterization and I love the character growth. If you want to go ahead and purchase this book, please remember to purchase from your online bookstore or online book retailer. If money is tight, please test this book out from your local library. And on that note, I hope you all will continue to like this podcast, subscribe to it, and share it with all your book loving friends. You can also become a supporter on Anchor FM. There is information in the description of this podcast. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.